Hello world, welcome to today's video, which is quite a departure for me and for my ancient biker channel. The official title of this video is XPeng G6 Tesla Killer. Well, let me say right from the start that I am maybe not the best person to pass judgment on whether this car or any other XPeng really is a Tesla killer. I've never driven a Tesla myself, although I have been a passenger in what was the Tesla flagship, the Tesla Model S. I think the best person to say whether this car really is a serious challenge to Tesla, from a driver's point of view, is somebody who has owned and driven a Tesla. But of course, the future of Tesla or any other car brand is not decided just by the subjective opinions of car drivers. It's much more of a geopolitical question these days. Whereas Tesla takes its name from Nikola Tesla, a Serbian who emigrated to the USA in 1884, the XPeng gets its name from the Chinese founder of the company, XPeng. I guess he could be seen as a Chinese Henry Ford. After all, Ford didn't hesitate to name his big car brand after himself. I think it's really amazing that a serious challenger, not only to Tesla, but especially to all the so-called legacy car brands like the German VW Audi group, BMW, Mercedes, etc., was only founded 10 years ago, in 2014. This reflects the incredible strength and dynamism of the Chinese powerhouse, which is the undisputed #1 manufacturing economy in the world. It's a similar phenomenon to Xiaomi. Xiaomi is known by many in the West only as a Chinese mobile phone brand. Xiaomi was founded in 2010, but is now already the #3 smartphone brand in the world, after Apple and Samsung. In China, Xiaomi became the #1 market-leading smartphone brand within 3 years. It is the #1 phone brand in the massive Indian market. And in China especially, Xiaomi is known for much more than just mobile phones. Interestingly, Xiaomi started life not as a smartphone manufacturer, but as a software company. I think this is highly significant because software is also at the heart of EVs, electric vehicle technology, and determines success, as in the case of Tesla, or failure, as in the case of VW. Having said that, Xiaomi released its first phone in its first year of existence, 2011. This is in itself quite incredible. Let's finish this little section on Xiaomi by looking at what is maybe the ultimate Porsche killer in the EV market rather than a Tesla killer. This is the Xiaomi supercar, the Xiaomi SU7. But let's get back to the subject of today's video, the XPeng G6, and the question of whether this really is a Tesla killer. It's only the second EV that I've ever driven, so as I said before, I'm probably not the best person to answer this question. Just before trying the G6, I test drove the Zeekr X, which is closely related to the Volvo XC30, because both are made by the same Chinese parent company, Geely. I must confess that I was very much won over by the aesthetics and design of the Zeekr X, and have always admired the lines of the Volvo XC40 ICE models. But as soon as I sat in and set off in the G6, I felt that the XPeng is a much more solid and grown-up car. It's maybe a classic case of substance over style. Anyway, as soon as I engaged the gears, which are located and selected on a stalk to the right of the steering wheel, I felt at home in the G6. When adjusting the mirrors right and left, I noticed that the door handles still protruded, but as soon as we moved off, they retracted into the doors. That was a bit disconcerting at first. I think that a lot of impressions when driving a new car are just first impressions, and these disappear very quickly when you actually own the car and drive it every day. It's the same with questions of unusual layout, such as the position of the gear lever. These are things that you get used to and forget about very quickly. But one difference that was a big and very useful change for me is the effect of all the cameras mounted on this car. With 14 cameras, 5mm wave radars, and multiple ultrasonic sensors, this system offers adaptive cruise control, automatic lane changes, and even parking assistance. As soon as the turn indicator is activated, the left-hand section of the 15-inch display shows an external camera view of the road. This means that if you are planning to turn left, then the road on the left-hand side is shown in the display. As a motorbike rider, I really appreciate this. It means that the driver is much more likely to see bikers on the road and much less liable to make dangerous turns in front of them. In fact, in the G6, it's very easy to change the layout of the display just by using hand gestures on the screen. The car seems quite big and bulky and makes a very solid impression from behind the wheel. But I was surprised by what seemed to be quite a small turning circle and how easy it was to maneuver the car. As with a lot of EVs, the huge tinted glass roof gives the car a less claustrophobic feel. And as a new EV driver, I was, again, impressed by the incredible instant torque of the electric motor of this car. It has a powerful electric motor that delivers up to 296 horsepower or 220 kilowatts. Now that's good for a top speed of around 180 kilometers per hour, more than 110 miles per hour, and it can go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just under 6.5 seconds. That's pretty fast for what feels like a very solid SUV. Now let's talk range. The G6 comes with two battery options, a standard 66 kilowatt hour pack and a larger 87.5 kilowatt hour pack. With the larger battery, XPeng claims you can get up to 570 kilometers of range on a single charge. Although of course real-world numbers may vary based on driving conditions. The standard version range is 435 kilometers. These are the WLTP figures. But maybe at least as important or even more important as the range is the question of how quickly the G6 can be charged. Charging speeds are another highlight. The XPeng G6 does support 800-volt charging technology. This high-voltage platform allows for ultra-fast charging, significantly reducing charging times. Using an 800-volt charger, the G6 can charge from 10% to 80% in as little as 10 minutes under optimal conditions. This makes it highly convenient for long-distance travel, as it minimizes the time spent at charging stations. In fact, 10 minutes must be very close to the time taken by many people when filling up their conventional ICE vehicles at filling stations, especially if they take a break for a cup of coffee, of course. XPeng's use of 800-volt silicon carbide (SiC) powertrain technology also improves efficiency and energy transfer, contributing to faster charging without compromising the battery's lifespan. In Thailand, this G6 comes with an 8-year warranty for the battery, and I expect it's much the same in other countries too. Speed of charging as well as accessibility of DC chargers are huge factors in determining the success of the whole EV market. The fact that the majority of new vehicle registrations in the world's biggest car market are now EVs probably has a lot to do with A, the availability of low-cost domestically produced EVs, and B, a huge local infrastructure of charging stations. China has 60% of the world's EV charging stations and more than 85% of the world's fast chargers or superchargers. These are the chargers needed to charge the G6 in only 10 minutes. The G6 has AC as well as DC sockets fitted. In some countries such as Australia or the UK, a lot of people live in houses with access to their own power sockets outside or in garages, which they can use to charge their EV overnight. This can take 8 or 9 hours. I know that in Australia, it can be very economical to install solar panels on the roof, and these can be used for domestic charging of EVs. In other countries, and I'm thinking of Germany, where I lived for more than half of my life, it's far less common for people to live in houses, but rather in apartment blocks. Then, access to power supplies for charging EVs at home may be more complicated, and the sun doesn't shine so much for charging solar panels. Talking of Germany, let me say a few words about the state of that massive German automotive sector. As everybody knows, the car industry plays a vital and almost dominant role in Germany's manufacturing economy. In 2018, the German car industry derived a huge share of its profits from China. Approximately 40% of global profits for major German car makers, including Volkswagen, Mercedes-Benz and BMW, were generated from their operations in China at that time. China was by far the largest market for these companies, accounting for a substantial share of vehicle sales, particularly for luxury and premium brands. So imagine what has happened to the German car industry after 2018, when new Chinese brands emerged not only in their domestic market, but also on the world stage. Nearly all of the sales and profits of the German car brands in 2018 were derived from so-called ICE vehicles, internal combustion engine cars. This is especially true for the luxury premium German car brands, Mercedes, BMW, Audi and Porsche. But the rapidly growing sector of the Chinese car market is EVs. And it is in this market that the Germans, so far, have totally failed to develop and produce cars not only able to compete with the global market leader Tesla, but also with the numerous new Chinese brands like XPeng and Zeekr, Geely. It's probably harder for legacy car brands like Mercedes, BMW and VW to diversify successfully into the EV market because EVs are quite literally driven by software. The historical expertise of the German car industry is in precision engineering and manufacturing, and not in software development. VW recruited several thousand software engineers to develop the software needed for EVs. And they have since sacked most of these people after finding that the company was unable to develop functioning navigation and autopilot software. German car makers know that they are now in a struggle for survival. They talk about the need to reduce manufacturing costs in Germany. And VW announced very recently that they will close one or more factories. They refer to manufacturing costs, but they don't mention that German industry has been very hard hit by sanctions imposed on Russia. Energy costs in Germany have skyrocketed, and filthy fracking gas is being imported from the USA, where German consumers pay 4 times more for this gas than Americans do. Sanctions have had no direct impact on US manufacturing, but have had a devastating effect on German manufacturing and on the German economy, which is still the biggest in Europe. German car makers in general, and VW in particular, have recognized that they cannot compete against a new Chinese brand. So new VW EVs will now be made on Chinese platforms, and VW purchased a stake in XPeng in July 2023. VW acquired a nearly 5% share in XPeng, marking a strategic partnership between the two companies. The goal of this collaboration is to co-develop new EV models specifically for the Chinese market. This partnership will allow VW to leverage XPeng's EV technology and software expertise, helping VW strengthen its presence in China's highly competitive EV market. If you can't beat them, join them. When you look at Chinese car plants, it's easy to see how economies of scale make production highly competitive. You see those bright orange robots? They are from the KUKA brand, which is specialized in automotive manufacturing. KUKA used to be a German company, but was bought by the Chinese in 2017 for about $5 billion US. I think that the USA would probably not allow the Germans to sell such a strategically important company to the Chinese today, since they've been forced to recognize the enormous strength and success of the Chinese economy. At the heart of all EVs is, of course, the battery. And it's here that the Chinese are also at the leading edge of research, development, and manufacturing. In 2 vital areas, software and battery technology, the Germans are unable to compete with the Chinese. So it's clearly nonsense to talk only about unit labor costs in Germany. China produces something like an 80% share of the global market for EV batteries. Let's get back to the car. The interior of the XPeng G6 is packed with technology. Front and center is a massive 15-inch touchscreen with XPeng's own X Smart operating system, powered by a Qualcomm Snapdragon 8155 chip. The software is intuitive, offering voice control, seamless navigation, and smart driving features. And speaking of smart driving, the G6 is equipped with XPeng's X-Pilot 3.5, which includes level 2.5 autonomous driving, but using the car's autopilot system, which is activated by pressing the gear change, the stalk, twice. Once the autopilot is engaged, the right-hand section of the display is shown in blue. However, if the car technology detects that the driver is guilty of not holding the wheel properly, or for not long enough, then the system will not engage. I plead guilty to this. For comfort and style, the G6 boasts a panoramic sunroof, air-conditioned ventilated seats, and customizable ambient lighting. The sunroof is made from triple-layer glass, which eliminates most of the sun's harmful ultraviolet rays, and also insulates the car from noise and extreme temperatures, either the cold in cold and temperate regions or the extreme heat of countries like Thailand. And whilst we're checking out this striking orange car in the bright Thai sunlight, let's take a closer look at this very special metallic paintwork. Wasn't it Henry Ford who said that of his customers, any color the customer wants as long as it's black? Maybe this is another area where XPeng is very deliberately trying to compete with Tesla. So far as I know, Tesla only offers one basic color without additional costs, whereas all of the paint options of the G6 are metallic and are offered without paying any extra. So there you have it, XPeng's G6 EV. With its sleek design, impressive range, and advanced technology, this electric SUV is ready to challenge the best in its class. What do you think? Is the G6 the future of EVs? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more in-depth reviews and opinions. Thank you for watching.